live. Go live now. Going live. And we should be live now. Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome to the #1 Tyranid shit show on the internet, the Creature Conference. Oh, I didn't test my audio. Hopefully we're not experiencing fifth member issues. Yeah, so welcome to this episode of the Creature Conference. Today we've got a very special Creature Conference for you. We've got a special guest in the form of Nora the Norn Queen joining us. You want to say hi, Nora?
Everybody!
Yay!
Happy Friday! Creature Conference time.
Oh wow, Nora's actually in the chat. Look at you, you're so professional. Damn. And then we are also joined by a very secret special guest, a mystery guest, if you will. So mysterious that not even Moloch or Flinhammer know who this mystery guest is. I haven't even let the mystery guest speak yet, so that they couldn't even guess. So for all I know, the mystery guest's audio might not be working, but let's hope.
It's true. I don't know. I have no idea.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I do suspect someone, but I have no idea.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to start off this Creature Conference so that our mystery guest can engage with us normally by, I'm going to ask you, the mystery guest, some questions. And the mystery guest is going to answer those questions. And from those answers, we're going to get everyone to guess who this person may be. And then, of course, we will reveal it. Sound like fun?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
So the first question, mystery guest, is that every week on the Creature Conference, we say that we come from a different part of Rick Priestley's expansive mansion. This is because anyone who tunes in regularly knows that Marco regularly tells us about how he's been in Rick Priestley's basement. So, mystery guest, if we were coming from one part of Rick Priestley's house this week, what part of Rick Priestley's house would we be coming from?
The dumbwaiter.
Oh, the dumbwaiter!
What's that?
The dumbwaiter it's like an elevator for food.
Okay, yes, I have one at work.
Okay. That was a good answer. Okay, mystery guest. Next question. Do you collect Tyranids?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's a good answer. Next question. So, everyone in the chat, as you're listening to the answers to these questions, if you have an idea of who this is, please put it in the chat. I see that Mama Negan has already posted a guess. Nora, can you keep on top of the guesses?
It's Rick Priestley.
Okay, that's the first guess. That we've got Rick Priestley. Rick Priestley would be well acquainted with his own dumbwaiter. All right.
Absolutely.
So that was the first question. Second question for our mystery guest. Mystery guest, around roughly when did you start collecting Tyranids?
When the original metal Carnifex was released.
Yay!
The original metal Carnifex. Now, would that be the second edition Screamer Killer or the third edition metal Carnifex?
The Screamer Killer.
Oh wow, so that could be way back. That could be back in like Rogue Trader almost.
Blister
Age.
pack.
Oh, in its own blister pack. Yes, I've seen one of those for auction. So Peter Hampson is guessing we've got Jess Goodwin on the line. Next question for you, mystery guest.
Nope.
Has your work ever been featured in White Dwarf magazine?
Yes, it has.
Yes, it has. All right, that's good. Someone, Mama Negan is guessing lukewarm reception is our guest. Okay, next question for you, mystery guest. I think that these next questions will make things pretty obvious for people. So Flynn and Marco, you can also jump in as well.
Yep.
So mystery guest, what is the color scheme of your Hive Fleet?
It's a brown with purple.
Yay! Got it.
Oh, wait. Hold on, Marco. So Marco thinks that he's got it.
Yeah, I think as well now.
Okay, Flinhammer thinks they know who our mystery guest is. Brownish purple. Anyone in the chat have a guess for brownish purple Tyranids? Because I think
Mama
the last
Negan
question.
says Thilo or Silo Engels.
Thilo Engels. Considering I don't even know who that is, I don't think that's the correct guess.
So no, it's
If
not
you
that
had
one.
to ask a question.
All right, and I think this will probably be the final question. What is the... Oh, actually, I can give a little hint to people in the chat. Our mystery guest said that their work once appeared in White Dwarf. I happen to have the White Dwarf right here that work appeared in. If this helps you at all to guess who our mystery guest is. White Dwarf number 254. This is from March of 2001, which is the second month of the Tyranid release, I think, of the 3rd edition Tyranids. So our mystery guest's work appeared in White Dwarf 254 in March. All right, and the final question, mystery guest, what is the name of your Hive fleet?
Harbinger.
Harbinger. That's right, Hive Fleet Harbinger.
If I hadn't known before, I would know it now.
Okay, well here's another a picture of a member of Hive Fleet Harbinger. Let's keep the name out of there. If this helps anyone in the chat to catch up with who we're talking to right now, it might take a second for the picture to come up. But
Common Egan says, can you describe them?
describe the person or the Oh
Yeah, but I definitely know. I definitely know.
so
The Harbinger.
Clara, what's the most recent comment there?
Oh, Sherman Bishop.
That's right, friends. We have got the original Tyranid badass.
Welcome, Sherman. So glad
Thank you
to
very much.
finally meet you online. Well, that's a voice.
That's right. We've got Sherman Bishop joining us today. Sherman, thank you so much. We've never actually spoken before, and I just came at you with this crazy request. So thank you for humoring me and coming on the Creature Conference.
Awesome,
Thanks
awesome.
for having me.
Yeah, and Sherman, you're a little quiet. I don't know. Is there anything you can do on your end to maybe bring your mic closer
Hang on
or?
a sec.
And while Sherman does that, Peter says, "Oh crap, it's him!" Exclamation.
Yes. Couldn't
Lots
agree
of
more.
excitement there.
How did that do? Does that help?
That's better. Yeah, that's a little louder.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, man, it's a real honor to have you on the Creature Conference because I've got a little slideshow going up here on the screen while we're chatting, just of your actually photos from your Warp Shadow gallery.
Yep. That's all. I've still got all those guys.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, and Flynnhammer has linked to your Warp Shadow gallery in the chat if anyone wants a preview. Go ahead, Marco. What was that?
Well, am I allowed to say that Sherman was probably the very first guy to ever really convert to Tyranids? Like
I
the
think so.
first guy ever? Absolutely sure.
I think so.
So we should all bow to you, Sherman, and say thanks for paving the way.
Oh wow! Thank you very much. That's amazing.
Yeah. So a lot of people like credit Marco for getting them started into Tyranids, into like converting and stuff like that. But before HiveFleetMoloch.com, Marco's website was a big thing. Sherman had his website. Sherman, what was it even called?
It was called the Wyrm's Lair. It was on an old defunct ISP service that deleted it all when it shut down.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Wait, the Wayback Machine. It can help.
Yes. True.
Peter says that he still remembers your conversion tutorials from Work Shadow.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have those saved somewhere on a disc.
On a
Very
disc,
cool. I love
wow.
that's on a disc, like a physical hard drive.
Disc, yeah.
I think
Is the-
some of them are in this album because this was the Warp Shadow album. So there was like a picture of your, I think it was your possibly a Broodlord with a like a Ripper added on as the tail.
Yes, that just popped up a little bit ago. Oh no!
Nice.
Don't show my hand drawings.
I still so vividly remember your homogons with the spider-like legs. And your
Oh,
first
the
conversion.
stalkers! I love those
Yes,
guys.
absolutely. It's
see
one
if I
of
can-
my first memories of Tyranids being converted and like scarier than the usual Games Workshop stuff. So thanks for doing what you did back then, Sherman.
Your
And
stuff
Vargas
is
says
great. I
that
love it.
he still has, they still have the Citadel journal with all the mad metals.
Yay.
Oh, I didn't know that Sherman's work was also in Citadel Journal.
Yeah, I actually did an interview in one of them where they asked me how I came up with the Hive Fleet and, just ideas for how to personalize your Hive Fleet because back then everything was metal and you had to really get a hacksaw and a drill and really
Yeah.
go at it if you wanted to change anything.
And
Oh man, now I gotta get that Citadel journal.
it was a hassle, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, what was that?
These days. It was a hassle, wasn't it? Compared to these days.
Yeah, it was a small little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyone who like goes far enough back to March of 2001, Sherman's stuff was featured in the chapter approved rules for creating Tyranid monstrous creatures. So it had all the rules that like Andy Hoare came up with, but then all the pictures were of Sherman's creations. So like, for example, this Trigon, Sherman, you did this completely from scratch, right? And like foam?
It's a super Sculpey that oven baked
Oh,
clay. I
okay,
still
yeah.
have him, but he's all beat up now.
Okay.
Oh,
I
Poor
thought that was an
creature.
armor cast one.
No, it
I
was
don't think Armorcast ever made one, did they?
They
got-
did.
I've got the Exocrine and a couple of other ones from them, but I don't think they ever did a Trigon. I tried to just scale up from the Epic Metal.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
they did.
accurate.
Yeah, and it looks so similar to the one that they did. They got it into early stage of production before they lost the licensing when Games Workshop were about to start up their own Forge World. So it didn't get the mass production of all the other ones that they did. So they come up very, very rarely and go for a mad amount. And it's just so close to the armor cast one.
so
Yeah.
so Flynn, don't tell us you don't have one.
I don't have one. It's in the list of 5 things I don't have for the NID museum.
So Sherman, I don't know if you caught this before, but Flynnhammer is into like collecting Tyranids for his Tyranid museum, and this jammy bat. I don't know if you have one, Sherman. He's actually got a protonid, like an original, like that original Tyranid sculpt that they did way back when.
You mean the really long Termagant?
Yeah.
With
Yep.
yeah, I don't have one of those. I have the one that came out after that.
Oh, okay. Was that the Hunter Slayer, like the little Termagants?
Yeah, the little ones with Webers and spike rifles and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep.
People in the
Um,
chat are digging through their book piles looking for that copy of the White Dwarf, and Peter says that they loved your brain crab zoanthrope. I'm sorry if I like
yeah.
butchered that name.
No, that's good. I pulled up the picture here, Marco. I pulled up the picture of the stalker
Yeah.
Hormigons, and I just realized that anyone who plays XCOM, I guess it's XCOM 2, this is
Yep.
pretty much the exact design and possibly color scheme of God. What are they called? There's those aliens in XCOM 2 that look exactly like this. Oh,
Which
chrysalids.
XCOM 2?
The
Which
chrysalids.
XCOM 2?
Sorry, the
There were
new
two.
yes, sorry, the new XCOM 2. The
I
modern one.
see. I'm old enough to play the old ones.
Yeah, me too. I'm old enough to die in the first mission in the old one and never play any further.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a creature called a chrysalid, which basically looks exactly like Sherman's Hormigons here. But I'll pull up the
Yeah, the
brain
G-
crab because I know it's in here.
They have the gene stealers and XCOM 2, basically.
They have, do they? Which ones are the gene stealers? They have
I
the like
think
thin
they-
men. What are you thinking of?
Well, the chrysalids are the fast-charging, close combat, tough monsters,
Yes.
which pretty much feel like a gene stealer to me,
Oh,
Like just-
yeah.
effect-wise.
Here's that zoanthrope that Peter's talking about, the brain crab one. Again,
So
with
nice.
ample use of Hormigont legs.
I have an entire squad of those now, 6 of them with 2 bigger versions that are 3D printed to make the
Holy
Zo
cow.
head bigger.
Nice.
But yeah, like, sorry, I got kind of distracted by like catching up and stuff. But honestly, like Marco said, Sherman, you were like original gangster when it came to converting Tyranids, and you inspired so much of us, and it's just amazing that you're still like rocking it on Instagram. You're still doing like hobby stuff now. Yeah, we just really appreciate all your work that you did for the Tyranid community back then.
And I really like your AdMax stuff you worked on before. Just right now. Awesome stuff.
Oh yeah,
Thank you so much.
I'll pull that up because I've got yeah. So if anyone's not following Sherman already on Instagram, his Instagram handle is s.w.bishop, and you can see there's some Gene Stealer cult that he's been working on recently. Man, you do everything. There's Eldar, Admech, Filthy Space Marines. Oh, here's the Brain Crab Squad. Oh my god, yeah, there's piles of them.
Flynn has had a good week, I guess.
What's that?
Flynn has had a good week, I guess.
Because he's
Because
singing
he
so
was-
happily.
Absolutely.
It's like, find the link, get the link.
So happy for you, Flynn. Good.
Anyway, yeah, so definitely check out Sherman's account on Instagram, and Flynn has just linked it in the chat. But
Well,
yeah, like
well,
how? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Marco.
Flynn, back then, your conversion parts. I know it was possible to get single parts from the Games Workshop factory, but how did you approach it? Did you actually order single parts to the US, or did you buy complete models and just hack everything apart?
No, back in the day, you could actually order from UK Games Workshop, just call them up with the big, the great big double catalogs that they had, and give
Yes,
them
I
the
know.
exact part number that you wanted. So I would order, like, give me 24 zoanthrope or legs off of this model. Give me the spine blades off of the metal lictor. Things like that. Anything that I was going to need a lot of, I would order them specifically.
Awesome.
I miss
Wish
those
they did
days.
that now. Yeah.
How cool is that? Well, I did the same, but certainly never to an extent like you did. And I really miss those days in that regard.
Yeah, that's like the people talk about like how hard computer models were to convert, but the reality is that it was a wonder age because you could order individual parts. Like now, there was a time when you could order sprues from Games Workshop. Like you could, anyone in third edition knows that you could order the Tyranid Monstrous Creature sprue to get the one pair of rending claws on it.
Yeah.
But now I don't think you can do that anymore. They don't break the boxes. But yeah, it was awesome when you could order all the pewter bits. That's how I wound up with like old epic Screamer Killer Carnifexes, because I just found the code and I just called them and they're like, yeah, we can send you these, even though they were completely like out of production. So it's pretty awesome. Also, Sherman Symbio Joe in the chat is saying hello and says it's great having you with us. Symbio Joe's a super Tyranid fan. Before Kickstarter was a thing, he tried to create before he realized Kickstarter was a thing, he tried to create a Kickstarter campaign to get Tyranid players to fund Roberto Cirillo to draw some new Tyranids, which
I didn't know that.
didn't get off he was talking about it the other time. It didn't get off the ground, but we were able to get Roberto to do some sketches more recently.
I'm drunk all the time, so I normally I miss nearly everything we talk about. So hey, awesome, Joe.
Don't forget about his podcast.
Yes,
oh yeah,
I know,
and
I know.
Symbio Joe's got his own What's on the Tabletop podcast, which you can
Yep.
check out. And yeah, Sherman, I wanted to note this crazy. Was this a Battlefleet Gothic creation? This
That was supposed to be a Norn Queen for the BFG fleet that I made. That was also featured in a Citadel Journal with the names and the rules that I came up with before they actually put out official ones. That was a lot of fun. If you look at the guns on the side, those are all what are they called? The
Are they off the hair
Part-
duel or the hair fan or something? No.
they're biovore. They're epic biovores, I think, is what the pieces are.
Oh, cool.
And then the spine fists are off of a Titan, one of the Hierophant or the Hierodual Titans from back in the day, the metal ones.
Yeah.
And the whole big body part is something off of a Resident Evil monster plastic figure.
Awesome.
Nice. Awesome. I'll keep this slideshow going. Is there anyone in the chat who had any questions for Sherman that they wanted to get answered? until
questions yet, but we had Symbio Joe was just saying, I think this was probably referred to a previous comm. He said, well, if I knew and had a jeweler's saw back then, I would have been a conversion god tier. Marco, you were the only one backing me back then.
Certainly.
yeah, and the reason that I came up with this crazy plan to have Sherman on this week was that I wanted him to be our special guest giving a commentary on the Parasite of Mortrex model when we did that whole
Nice.
thing, but we just couldn't make it work in terms of timing. So Sherman, would you be willing to give us your opinion on the Parasite of Mortrex now?
Yeah, I can. I'm not exactly over the top about it. I like some of the parts of it. The overall feel of it looks like it was something that they wanted to make a Shrike model, and then they said, "No, we're going to make it into something else."
Yeah.
I don't
And
like the head, but I
yeah,
do like the way the wings look. I would love to have some wings like that you could use on the warrior models to get Shrikes. The little tentacly lower limbs, don't like that. The stingers should be bigger for what it's supposed to do, I thought.
yeah,
But overall, I mean, it's nice to have a new model. I mean, that's great.
certainly.
Yay! We got a model, a new one.
Mom and Egan's got a question.
Yeah.
They ask, which do you prefer, the old line of NIDs or the new interpretation?
I think my favorite ones are the ones that came out around the time of the original plastic Carnifex kit. Those are really nice and modular. You can do lots of stuff with them. That's what Mr. Pink and Marco have been using, and the stuff that they create, and lots of other people that you see on here. It's just amazing what you can do with those modular kits and all those bits, all the lovely extra bits you get. Um, but sometimes, the older stuff isn't as good. I still love the original lictors. I have lots of lictors.
Yeah.
And for the zoanthropes, the original zoanthropes that I made into the brain crabs are still, in my mind, they seem more tyrannidy than the floating things. I don't much care for floating things. So I guess
Interesting.
it's pick and choose. You pick what you like, and then you modify whatever else you want to go with it.
Certainly. Yeah, so you were talking like the plastic Carnifex. Do you mean like the plastic Tyrant kit and when you're talking about your favorite kits? Um like does that extend to like I guess the Trigon came out around that time. The plastic
I
Trigon.
haven't done a lot with the plastic Trigon because it was just such a large departure from the metal one,
Right.
what they looked like before.
Yeah.
But no, I have lots and lots of Carnifex. That's one of
Mhm.
my favorite models to
Mhm.
convert. I have probably 6 or 7 of the Screamer Killers converted up different ways for various biomorphs, and then another half dozen of the plastic ones. The plastic one's probably my favorite model to build because you can just do so much with them. You can build a bigger flying creature out of them if you want,
Yeah.
or make like if I made a Trigon, I would probably use a Carnifex body on the top of it to
Yeah.
try to make it bigger and more imposing than the current model.
Right. Okay. I've got one of your lictors pulled up here that it looks like the head was inspired by possibly Independence Day. The kind of like big, for lack of a better word, spoon-shaped head.
That's just my wonderfully novice attempt at green stuff.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I didn't have a head for that particular model. I'd done something else with it, and
Yeah.
so I had to make one.
Nice.
Symbio Joe's got another question.
Yeah.
And he asks, what is your inspiration when it comes to alien life forms?
I typically look at insects, crustaceans, and a lot of sea life. That's where I always started. Most of like for my hive fleet, they all have 8 limbs and they all have cephalopod tentacles on their faces, unless they're I just couldn't do it because there's so many of them, like the termagants.
Right.
I don't put them on those. But all my gene stealers and up, everything has this squiggly face.
Nice. And like
Sherman,
go ahead, Marco.
yeah, Sherman, did you used to play with your army a lot back then?
Well, we had a group of friends that played 40K, once a month at least, but all the armies were mine. Nobody else really had an army, and so
Okay.
I would make two armies, make two army lists, and they would come over and I'd say, okay, pick which one you want to play, and then we'll play. And then if one army wasn't, blew the other one out of the water or something, then if we had enough time, we'd just switch and play the same game again with us playing the opposite team. And so everybody got to have fun with if there was something really powerful on the field, everybody got to use it. And so, that's how we played. More recently, I've got a local store that actually has tables, and so I'm building stuff and building terrain for those tables so that we can have games there. That's what the Gene Stealer cult that's on my Instagram is for, is the escalation league that we're running there.
Nice.
What's your opinion on the inclusion of squigs into the Tyranids back in the day? Mama Negan asks.
I never really used them, but I did see a lot of the very strange orc stuff back in the day with the squigs. The only thing I have are I've got a whole squad of squig hounds. If you remember those, they were like bulldog-looking squigs that had a big mohawk.
I don't
Those
remember
those are the only ones I have.
Wow.
Nice. Hashtag ballin, says the Symbio Joe.
That's pretty cool, Sherman, because like when you talk about creating armies for your friends to use, I fantasize about doing that for Kill Team. I'm like, oh, I'll make a couple of like I did it with my cousin recently where I put together a couple of kill teams and like he came over and I'm like, hey, look at these models and see which ones you most want to play with. And he just like picked out the Gene Stealer cult and then we had a game. And I'm like, oh man, I should make some more kill teams and then I can have random friends over and we can just play Warhammer. But like the idea of making a whole army, like you clearly are super productive because we can see all your different forces on your Instagram. But yeah, it just seems like you create things really quickly. Do you have any tips for like assembling stuff that fast or painting stuff that fast?
I usually do things in stages. Like I will cut all the parts off and put stuff together and clean them and make sure I go around and try to get the mold lines off where you're going to see them. I don't go overly detailed. If you can't see it, I'm not usually going to worry about it just because it saves time.
Yeah.
Time is my most precious commodity right now. I have very little time to actually paint and build and actually get a game in. So I have to try to make it work as much as I can. So I've got an airbrush, I've got a spray booth, I've got spray paint, everything you can do, just block your zenithal highlights. I usually use that nowadays. I like to use transparent inks. They're great for all kinds of things, to really get something vibrant and quick, and then go in and pick your details out that you want people to see. Like, oh, I want to emphasize this gun or the face or whatever, and then just do batches. And if I only have an hour, I may go in and just do all the bases, get everything ready for priming on the bases for the next day. And then the next day I'll glue everything down, pin it down. And then the day after that, prime it all. And then, that weekend I might get my washes on, and it might be a whole week or 2 week process to get a entire squad painted, but it may only take a total of 2 or 3 hours total put into it.
Okay. Nora,
And that way you
anything
don't
else?
get burned
Oh,
out.
sorry, go
Plus,
ahead.
I can't see very well anymore. I have to use the cheaters with the magnifying glasses and stuff to try to even see the eyeballs in the paint. So I
I
started
wouldn't call that
cheating
cheating.
Well, I cheat because I paint my Gene Stealer cults. The eyes are all glossy black. There's
That's
no
what I
pupil
do,
or
dude. I
anything.
totally do
And
that.
and I'm like, I can't drive myself crazy trying to paint whites of the eyes. I'm gonna just make them glossy black, just like my Tyranids have always had glossy black eyes. And so, that saves you a lot of time right there.
Yep. I wouldn't call that cheating.
Welcome to old age, and I share your pain.
Speaking of painting, Peter Hampson wants to know, what paints do you use, and are you still using the same paints and techniques as you did back in the day, or have they evolved?
Good question.
Well, the original paints that I used, I live near Cincinnati, and that's where Raw Partha was centered. And you could
Oh.
go to their factory and walk into the back and buy paints out of a bin where any paints that had gotten slopped on or the labels had gotten torn off or whatever. So at first that's what I used, and now I don't use those anymore. I don't even know if you can buy raw part the paints too easily anymore. I haven't seen them. But my favorite paint to use right now is the Pro Acryl. I love that stuff.
Oh
Those are
yes.
very nice. And I use a lot of alcohol inks because, believe it or not, they can do some amazing things through an airbrush.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think I use the same techniques anymore because I've watched YouTube didn't even exist when I started painting, but watch a lot of YouTubes, and I've anything that'll help me speed up painting. And the main thing that I've found is priming black, doing the zenithal highlight, and doing tinting washes can really get you a lot of stuff done pretty fast. And so that's kind of what I have to work on now.
Nice. Have you experimented much with the Games Workshop contrast paints? Because they're kind of like a heavy body wash, or like I wouldn't call them an ink, but
Right. Yes, I use those. My favorite one was the old first, back when I first started painting, they had the inks that were called
yeah,
inks from Games Workshop. And there was a chestnut ink that was a lot of my original Tyranids had any of the brown you saw had that chestnut ink on it.
yeah,
So, but yeah, the contrasts are one
Same
of the
here.
main things I used from Games Workshop. I use the contrasts and the washes. Those are
nice.
primarily the colors that I use. And then occasionally I'll grab, like if there's some that are really good, like Averland Sunset. If you ever want to paint anything that's orange, yellow, anything like that, you want to start with Averland Sunset base because it will cover everything in pretty much one or two coats. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
nice. I don't have that one.
As a base, that's if you've seen my pictures of any of my AdMech stuff, all
Yeah.
the
Yes.
orangish brown, all those colors start with a lighter color, which is the Averland Sunset, and then it's always easier for me to start with a light color and then make it darker as I go, rather than the other way around. I know some
Yeah.
people like to go the other way, but I do lots of dry brushing. It fakes skill. I'm not a
No,
good
I don't
painter.
judge.
I'm not a good painter, but I'm a productive painter, and I'm
Yes.
happy with my work, and that's what's important.
Whatever gets your stuff painted. Like I don't care. I will dry brush, I will zenithal, I will airbrush, I will do anything that gets my stuff painted faster because I don't want to waste the time painting. Oh, but you said Pro Acryl. I just wanted to let people know if they're not familiar with Pro Acryl because I discovered that kind of recently. These are from Monument Hobbies. I guess I shouldn't be like doing a product placement, but whatever. Because these paints are really cool. They're huge, like they're massive. They come with an agitator inside. When you buy the paint, it has an agitator, and it has this cool kind of like water bottle lid on it, so that you don't ever have to take the lid off. You just unscrew it, and then you just blob out your paint, and then you screw it back on. But I would call them, they're very high pigmented, and they're pretty good at covering other colors. Like I don't want to say they're like Games Workshop foundation paints, but they're certainly more pigmented and dense than like a Vallejo. Have you been able to do anything really crazy with them, Sherman? Or like is there a special way that you use them?
No, I usually just use them as the base colors, and then I mix. They're very good at mixing. They mix very
Yeah.
well with each other. But I also you can make glazes out of them if you like 3 parts of thinner, and you can make a really nice glaze because of, like you
Nice.
said, they're very thick. They're jelly almost like, but one of the things I liked about them is if it's an old paint that comes off the shelf, you know it's going to be good because it actually has a seal on it where you have to take the lid off, peel the seal off, and then
Right.
put the lid back.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's not going to dry out on the shelf like some of them will.
That's a good point. I forgot about that. I don't know if I have any that I haven't opened yet. But yeah, as soon as you like when you get them, there's like a styrofoam seal bit. Oh. Oh, I've already taken it out. Oh, they also have this like styrofoam washer thing in them. But there's like a cover there that you have to peel off and then you activate them kind of. So that's a good point that I had forgotten about.
Symbio Joe says that what really put you on the map for them, was the create your own Tyranid monster in the White Dwarf back in the day, and wants
Yes.
to know what was your opinion on those rules at the time.
Oh, I loved those. That just gave you the little bit of customization that Tyranids were lacking. You could make something and you could say, these are the rules I'm using for it, and they're good rules because they came out of the White Dwarf. You can look right there, this is how I did it, and you come up with points because it had points for it. So if you gave it, extra attacks, it charged you a certain amount of points. So you could build any type of Tyranid, or well, any monster really, but mine were mostly Tyranid monsters, and then you could play them on the board. And that was fantastic. It's something I really liked.
Couldn't agree more.
And
And
there was
would-
two different issues. One of them was just like creature design rules, and one of them was Tyranid creature design rules. So this White Dwarf 254 from March of 2001, that's the one that has the Tyranid design rules in it. And yeah, they give you like all the points for all the different weapons, and you could like choose how much. Like you could have a strength 10 flesh boar. Transports, you could create transports, bioplasma. They're pretty awesome. So yeah, here's Sherman's Harridan that he created out of a screamer killer with some old bloodthirsty
great.
wings. And there's
and
a
so famous.
profile here for it.
The sad thing is, with today's min-max tournament scene, things like these are so unimaginable right now.
Yeah. And they had
Yeah, that would get torn apart in the competitive scene. I don't like that's another thing. I don't do competitive. I don't like that. I like the themed. I'm perfectly fine with playing a force that's trying to defend a hopeless situation and is going to get destroyed. You're just trying to see how long you can survive. That's fine. As long as we're having fun, that's the main thing, not just winning.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you're not going to find
Absolutely.
any really competitive people here. We're all about the hobbying and that kind of stuff.
But I feel it needs to be said as often as possible, because the competitive side and the whole min-maxing stuff and everything is so dominant these days. And I feel with the current edition of 40k, it's become even more pronounced with all the combinations.
Flynn, were you
and
going to make a
shit.
comment about Adepticon?
No? Should I?
Oh no, Flynn.
Oh, I know what happened at the Adepticon.
Do you want to tell people what happened at Adepticon?
Yeah, there was a bundle with the rules, not the rules, the point scoring on a tiebreaker. So someone who
that's
had
not what
been
I was
announced.
referring to.
I
I was
wasn't about the
talking
person
about
who got announced.
we're talking about like min-maxing and people like smashing each other's face. I thought you were going to talk about the Void Weaver thing.
No, I don't even know about that.
Oh, so
Oh,
talking
people
about
playing Harlequins?
yeah, so talking about
Yeah.
being super competitive, like to like the exclusion of everything else. If you look at the results from the competitive tournament at Adepticon last weekend,
Okay.
there are something like, I think in the top 10 there is one Ultramarine player, there is one Necron player, and there are 8 Harlequin players, because
Shit.
people had gotten advanced copies of the Eldar Codex. They'd realized that this vehicle that Harlequins can field, called a Void Weaver, was completely broken. So every one of these armies had 9 to 12 Void Weavers in it. And
Shit.
there was this ridiculous picture that came out of these two Harlequin players facing each other with just these massive piles of these Void Weaver vehicles. And it was this whole question of like, this codex came out 2 weeks ago. How did these people know that this build was going to be in there? So it's like questions about like, these guys had advanced copies of the codex, and like, is that legal? And like, oh, this crap. So that's what I think of when I think of like people just focusing on winning versus having fun.
Yeah.
What a pile of crap.
Yeah.
The other bit was just so I can say it, with the Age of Sigmar, someone had been told they were the winner, then got told by their friends by Twitter that they were not the winner anymore and didn't have the golden ticket to the Games Workshop event, and that it would go to someone else. But what's happened is, yeah, Jeremy said it's the Emma debacle. But what I've seen today is Games Workshop has stepped in and given a ticket to the person who was no longer the winner, so they're still able to attend the event, which is the best thing possible, I think, that
Absolutely.
could have happened. And it was the obvious solution, but they had to go through whatever hoops and stuff, because obviously you do a tournament and you go, only one person goes through, because obviously it makes the numbers right for the next bit. So they're having to do all the background stuff to make it work, which I think is the best thing that they could do, and restores some faith in the higher ups. They're like, yeah, let's just get this done right, because it's not fair on the person when it was just like a simple human error, and it,
Absolutely.
I
which I think is
didn't.
brilliant.
I only heard about this today, and I really still don't understand what the heck's going on. But I don't like. There was a goal. Yeah, golden ticket was like you go to like the championships or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not about that life over here. We're about the conversion life and the crazy Xenos life. Nora, are there any other questions in the chat for Sherman?
I have one.
Yeah. Oh, Flynn. Yeah. Yeah. You haven't been asking many,
Yeah.
man.
What's your favorite bit to use for Tyranid conversions?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say that it would have to be the Hormagaunt spike arms because I used them in so many things. Because you could use them for spikes on something's back or extra legs. All the zoanthrope brain crabs have them for legs. My striders use them for legs. I'd say overall it's just a great piece because it's a really long spike on the fully articulated leg that you can use in so many different ways.
Nice. Do you still have some? Because they're like long discontinued.
Oh yeah, I've got a whole drawer full of those that I still have to put together. They've got holes drilled in them with copper wire stuck in them so I can
Fantastic.
reposition them and have to put the green stuff around them to cover it up and make the joints look right.
Amazing.
I never finished that squad because it's such a labor intensive conversion because basically everything is cut and they were all from metal bodies and you had to grind the metal bodies smooth where you needed to put the legs on. And if you remember the old leaping Harmagants, the way
Yep.
their arms were, they were molded onto the body and they're in the way and you have to grind those off. And I only made maybe 6 or 7 of them. I never got a full squad made.
Talk,
Yeah, that is a lot of
talk
work.
said like a pro. Kids today have no idea how easy they have it, right?
Yep. Nora, anything else in the chat?
I don't think anything else yet. Just some comments. Tom says that I like that Bishop isn't intimidated by more than 6 legs.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is Tom calling me out? I tend to be like, no, Tyranids can only have 6 legs, but Sherman's stuff is like definitely.
Maybe just a little bit of shade.
Sherman, is that a thing where like does your Hive Fleet, like, do they all have 8 legs or something? Like, is there like a unified theme on that?
Yeah, that was one of the things when I started making them I made them more crab-like or spider-like.
Yeah.
And everything had at least 8 limbs. Some of them
Oh.
even
I
have
have-
more. And
I
they
have to
also
say,
had,
there
ahead.
was no 6 legs rule back then when Sherman started.
Right.
as far
it
as I'm
was
concerned,
early.
there still isn't.
Be honest, what does Just Goodwin know, huh? What does he know actually?
He was okay with it. He liked my stuff. It was fine.
There you go. Sherman, did you ever like visit the studio or anything like that?
No, I just got to meet him at Games Day 2000 in Baltimore,
Nice.
which was after the issue that you were showing there,
Yeah.
and got to talk with Andy for a while. I don't think Jarvis was there, and
Yeah.
I didn't get to meet Jess, unfortunately.
bad.
That was kind of sad. But that was when I got to see the sketches for the new Carnifex kits
Yep.
at that showing, so that was cool.
Nice. Yeah, he clearly has seen your stuff and he clearly loves your stuff because, like, there's no way that he would have missed it considering it was featured in White Dwarf. Cool. If there aren't other questions, Sherman, I was going to go through. We have a Xenos questionnaire thing that I do randomly. It's 11 questions. Would it be okay if I asked you these 11 Xenos questions?
Sure. If it's a test, though, I don't know how well.
It's not a test. You can't fail. So, what is your earliest memory of Xenos? Being a Xenos model, Xenos army, some Games Workshop alien thing?
That would be what started it all. I was in my local comic store, and they had Eldar Aspect Warriors, and I was kind of looking at them. Oh, those are kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then I saw the Screamer Killer in the blister pack.
Yeah.
It was like a pound and a half of lead for I forget, like $20, I think it was. And I was like, I've got to have that. And
Yeah.
it was the first Tyranid I ever painted, and I painted it like it was in the White Dwarf. It was like the black with the red and the bone, like they did it. And
Yep.
then after that, I started collecting more and more. I got a Tyranid Attack box set, which was an old kind of board game that you had, and then it just grew from there. But I've always liked monsters, Godzilla movies, things like that. Monsters have always been the thing that, if there was a bunch of things to choose from, I'm going to choose the monsters.
Good call.
Yay.
All right. And what was your first ever Xenos model? Was it that Screamer Killer Carnifex?
Well, if you're qualifying your Xenos as being Games Workshop stuff, then
Yes.
Then yes, it was.
Yeah. Awesome. And what do you think, in your opinion, like in modeling or in gaming or whatever, what do you think is the most overrepresented Xenos race? What is the Xenos race that we see too much of these days?
I guess Eldar at the point,
Yeah.
right now, that's definitely, sometimes you see a lot of Tau, but Tau players, that's the kind of army they like, and they do tailor to people. Like if you want a certain type of army and a certain look, if that's what you want to paint, you can't take the Tau aesthetic and put it on Genestealer Cult or something. That wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So, I think Eldar is probably the one that I see the most of. Lots and lots of Eldar.
Okay.
Interject
And-
with 2 questions in the chat.
Go ahead.
So Tom wants to know what issue of White Dwarf you were holding with the dwarf on the cover, because it wasn't the number that you read out.
Oh,
And
North
what is
America,
the
it's 254, but I know that in the UK, and I think is Tom in Australia? No, is Tom in the UK? I think the UK might be different numbers. Flynn, do you know?
Yeah. I don't, but I will use my Google Foo.
Yes, yes, they are different numbers, I know.
Do you
Or was
have
it
the
2?
European one? Okay, here, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
And what is the non GW arm part next to the Genestealer Bishop was using?
That
Sherman
is
was using?
legs off of a Starship Trooper bug. I got the Starship Trooper bugs sprues along with the flying ones a long time ago, and I've always been looking for good uses for those legs.
Very creative. And then Symbio Joe wants to know, what is something you would like to see in the Tyranids that is not there right now?
I always liked Shrikes. I always liked the idea of Shrikes, because if you have a fully biological force and you only have slight amount of things that are in the air, that's just not reasonable. Lots and lots of things in the world fly.
Yeah.
And it seems like they would have warriors. They'd have the gargoyles, and then they would have the next stage up, and then they would have the next stage up. Personally, I'd love to see a flying Carnifex. That's just me. Lots of crab claws coming down with big gnarly wings. But
Cool.
yeah, that would be the Shrikes would be the thing that I think that the whole group needs, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are with you, especially Flynn. Flynn is all about the Shrikes.
Yes. I need Strikes back.
Awesome. Next question from the Xenos questionnaire. That's the okay. We talked about the most overrepresented Xenos race. What is the most underrepresented Xenos race in your opinion? The one that you'd love to see more of?
Kroot.
Nice.
Yay!
Great answer.
Yay!
I like Kroot. I think that they're a cool little group of critters. I almost made a Kroot kill team just out of just for silliness. They're not very good in kill team, but
No, I just played them. They're bad.
if you can make a nice, it's an interesting modeling project, and I like painting and modeling and stuff and thinking about it usually more than I do playing it, because I'm going to be completely honest, the game takes too long.
Yeah.
It just takes too long. There's too many rolls involved. I'm from the old school where you shot, you hit, you wounded, you saved, it's over. There's not all these re-rolls and auras and all this stuff. I was just like,
Yeah.
how long is it going to take you to determine that your 10 guys that have 20 shots and hit on 2s and re-roll 1s hit me 40 times? Just go ahead and roll 40 wounds. Come on.
Yeah. Have you played much of the new Kill Team?
I have not. I just finished making a kill team board that has an old Armorcast Exocrine has been blown up and is laying on its side, gut slaying everywhere.
Oh
And
man.
on the
Nice.
other end of the board is that crashed Imperial Flyer.
Yeah.
And that's what the board is going to be for my Wyrm Tooth kill team is going to play the local shop owners Imperial group on
Nice.
that. Hopefully we'll get in a game next week.
Oh, cool. I love
And
that you have.
I'll probably
Give us
post a
pic-
picture of that
Give us
on,
pictures, please.
on
Yes.
Instagram once
Yeah.
I get it done. Right now
Yay.
I keep spraying glue on it to get the flocking. I'm terrible with flocking. I don't like flocking. But I'm trying to get it to where everything is going to be nice and sturdy so it won't come apart when we try to play on it because I want to leave it at the store for them to use.
Yeah. I love that you have enough Armorcast Exocrines around that you're just using one as terrain.
Well, that's the reason is I have 2 that I've painted there. You can see them in the picture right now that's popped up, and I had 2 of the new version exocrines, and I really don't need a 3rd resin one, so that's what I did.
Man, I need to get
do
some.
Sherman, do your local friends know that you're with Sherman Bishop? Like, do they have an idea what you did before for Tyranids back then?
No. All these guys are probably too young to have been around in the hobby at that time. Most of them are in
Okay.
their 20s and 30s.
Yes, I think. So they have no idea who you are. What a pity.
Have no idea how famous their opponent is.
Yes,
Well, famous
of
for
course.
weirdos like us, but I don't know.
It's gotta be asked.
Okay, so that's the I like that Kroot because of course I have a love of Kroot, and one day I hope that Games Workshop will have a love of Kroot and do more for them, obviously.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Nora,
I would
anything
love
else
for
of
them
note
to
in the chat? Oh, sorry, go ahead,
I would
Sherman.
I would love for them to put out some more of the auxiliary races for Tau.
You're
Yes.
not
You know,
alone.
they kind of hint at them. They hint at them, and all these worlds that the Tau have taken over, and everybody is still Tau. You know,
Yeah.
there's nobody else. Well, that doesn't make any sense to me. But somebody's talking about the that's Maker's Cult 3D printed thing, the Amu vehicle that I've got for my IGs that
Oh
Peter was
yeah.
talking about in the chat. That's that was the first big thing I've ever 3D printed. Took me forever. I'm no good at that.
Do you know the reference, the Omu reference?
Nausicaa, yeah.
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
the Nausicaa. What is it? Valley of the Wind.
Valley of the
I think is
Wind.
the real
Yeah.
name. Yeah, but they patterned that obviously directly out off of that critter, which is I also have a model of the critter, which is cool.
Nice. My goal is to one day sculpt an Omu just because they're so cool.
I'm so lost at what you're talking about.
So this is it's an anime. No, well, it's a manga and an anime.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese graphic novel, but it was also a film, I believe. I've only read the graphic novel.
Yes,
and it's
it was
actually
a film called Valley of the Wind. Nausicaa.
you might like it, Marco. You might want to look it up because it's okay. If I get this wrong, Sherman, you got to jump in and correct me. But I think the deal is that it's like this world that's been overtaken by like spores, like mushroomy kind of fungus spores, and it's kind of like this wild jungle thing, and like humans exist above it, like in the clouds, and they like dip down into it, but it's like kind of dangerous. And there's these crazy creatures that live in there called Omu, which are these huge slug-looking things with a bunch of eyes on the front of them.
I might like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But it's beautiful, and there's a lot of like cool kind of like bio stuff going on.
Okay.
I don't know if I did it justice. Please, anyone who's a bigger Nausicaa fan, let us know. But Yeah. Okay. Next question from the questionnaire. Well, you may have kind of already answered this, but what is the Xenos race, in your opinion, that has the most fertile ground for a Space Marine style deep dive? If Games Workshop gave as much attention to one Xenos race as they do to Space Marines, what race do you think deserves it or has the most material?
Well, deserves it. It would obviously be the Tyranids.
Right?
But
Yeah.
I think that really, if you look at the lore, the thing that would give them the widest canvas to put anything they wanted on the board would be the Tau Empire,
Yeah.
because they assimilate all the other people. So you should have hundreds, thousands of different alien creatures that are associated with them.
Yeah. So you said you don't like it if it's a test, and I told you it's not a test, but really it's become clear from asking this question that that's the only right answer for that question. That's
Yeah.
a lot of people feel the same way, that they would love to see more of the auxiliaries for the Tau, and that there's a lot of space there to go further. Nora, is there anything else in the chat?
Not as much, just more chit chat at this point, talking
Sure.
a bit more about the build. I think that's mostly it. We do have Vermis who's joined the chat
Oh,
and had a question
Vermis!
about manga around
Yay!
if anyone's been reading One Punch Man.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So Vermis, in case you missed it, we're talking to Sherman Bishop. Vermis should know who Sherman Bishop is, because Vermis is OG Tyranid from Warp Shadow back
Yep.
in the day.
Oh, and Mama Negan says I might have to send you some of my Turumakian helmet, Mr. Bishop,
I
because
think
you
that's
did
a Naushka
something
thing.
Naushka related with Warhammer.
Yeah, Mama Negan did a sculpt, I think. I think it was for Kitbash Ember last year that she did it. I forgot that those are from Naushka, which is dumb. Okay, yeah, so Tau, good choice. Okay, Sherman, what is an unforgivable Xenos sin? What is something that someone does, like modeling wise with Xenos, that you think is just unforgivable?
You know, I don't have a lot of people around here that I see doing modeling other than the standard GW put it together. There's not a lot
Yeah.
of conversions, but
Stuff you
one
see
of
on
the
the
things
internet?
that I'm trying to think. It's the only thing that I can think of is, like mixing the weapons from the wrong factions. I that kind of jumps out at me. Like if you put a
Oh,
Tau gun on a Space Marine dreadnought or something like that, it
yeah.
seems wrong. But I don't think that there's anything that anybody can do unless it just looks stupid
Yeah.
that you shouldn't do. If you like the way it looks and it's for your army, do what you want. Um, I prefer stuff that's painted. I don't like gray stuff. That's the
Yep.
thing that jumps out at me.
Okay.
Somebody wants to play with gray plastic. I don't like that much.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that Games Workshop has done with Xenos that you feel like is an unforgivable sin?
Is now a good time to mention squats?
Oh shit! Oh wait,
The
yeah.
segue, perfect segue.
Nicely done, sir. Yeah. So for anyone
That
who
almost felt
missed
like
it,
a cue. I don't know.
okay,
Why wouldn't we?
okay. So for Nora, whose benefit, who knows a lot about Warhammer but not about squats probably, and for anyone listening or in the chat today, Games Workshop released a video that seems to suggest that they are bringing back a classic faction to Warhammer 40k, a classic maybe alien faction, squats. Sherman, can you give us a rundown of what squats are for anyone who's not familiar with squats, and maybe a little bit about the history since and why this is such like a kind of trap card for the community?
Well, back in the day when they had the big box sets of plastic, the original plastic sets, there was one for Imperial Guard, one for Space Marines, there was a Land Raider, there were Rhinos, and there were squats, which were short abhumans. They were basically the fantasy version put into sci-fi. They were mostly the same exact thing as Imperial Guard, except smaller and stuntier. But they were great with machines. They had land trains and all kinds of stuff. They were hugely popular in Epic, at least in my area. There were lots of people who played squat armies in original Epic 40K. And then at some point, Games Workshop said, yeah, what are you talking about? Squats? They don't exist. They got eaten by somebody. And then they never put them on again until more recently in a couple of Necromunda characters. Like there's a ammo, what's it called? An ammo grunt? No.
Something like,
Something like
I
that.
don't know. Yeah, a guy, yeah, from Forge World.
Yeah, there's 2 Forge World ones that are designed for Necromunda, and they're both very nice sculpts. I got them both because I have some of the plastic squats from back in the day, and yeah, they were basically just, you know, how the ogres are ogren, the halflings are the sniper dudes. Is that still around? Do
Yeah,
IG still have the little snipers?
Ratlings, yeah.
in
Ratlings.
Blackstone
So halflings
Fortress,
are
yeah.
ratlings. Yeah. Okay. So and then the dwarves were just the space dwarves, and they just filled the niche in the abhuman thing. They kept the ogrins, they kept the ratlings, but they didn't keep the squats.
Yeah, so, someone in the chat just Mama Negan said Ammo Jack. I think that's the name of the role in Necromunda that the squat plays.
Right. Yep. You are correct.
Yeah, so what, but Flynn, do you want to go into like kind of like the history or like the memification of squats in the community, being a museum guy yourself?
So when they did away with squats, it became a running joke in the community of if something's disappearing, it's being squatted, for obvious reference to squats no longer existing as a playable race or anything. And so you go like, oh, for example, the Red Terror has been squatted because you're not able to use it anymore.
Yeah.
Or when they had the whole all in the 5th edition, the special characters, they all got squatted because you couldn't use it. Anything that just disappeared with no reason got squatted.
I forgot about that. Yeah, it's kind of like Googled. Like you talk about like Googling something. Squatting is like a 40K centric verb from Games Workshop. I forgot about that. Marco, did you have any truck with squats in your career with 40K?
Yeah, well, on my stint at playing at Grand Tournaments back then, first with my Elder and then later with, I think, Moloch, I always went with Argus and Argus Neugebauer. Some of you may know him from Argus NT. And Stefan Hess. Stefan Hess was actually the guy who introduced me to Rick Priestley into the studio. And Stefan was more of a competitive player, but he also used to be very creative back then with doing things like new. And he used to have a fancy kind of milling machine.
Yeah.
Back then there were no 3D printers. And for one Grand Tournament, he created a squad land train and used the Orc Speed Freak rules for this. And his land train disintegrated into single wagons. Started as a big land train.
Yeah.
And the single wagons just drove apart. And he used the Orc Speed Freak rules for his squad army. And I found this really creative.
That's amazing.
Yes, what a great idea. It looked great too. He wasn't
It's
the
like
best
Voltron.
printer, but he was awesome at getting things milled with his famous, hugely expensive milling machine back then. And this is my main memory of squads back then. Other than that, I can always kind of see why the way squads used to be portrayed is kind of too silly for 40K.
Yeah.
And I think they could be reinvented, and maybe they will be, but I'm not the biggest fan of the orcs in 40K too, because they always... I used to laugh about them too, just like everyone else did. But the joke is kind of one note, and after decades of laughing about the same joke, it's like, oh, okay, I got it now. It's not so funny anymore. And same with the squads. I think they need more depth.
Well, you might be getting that because the reason we're talking about squats today, and why I'm glad Sherman segued into them, is that Games Workshop is well known for releasing jokes on April Fools, because today is April Fool's Day. And before it's been like really obvious jokes, but when they released this video today, hinting at squats coming, it wasn't really clear on, okay, yeah, this is April 1st, so clearly this is like a lie, it's a joke, but it's very high production values for a joke. I don't know, now that they have like Warhammer TV and all that, maybe they just got like animators coming out of their butts, and it's not like a super. It's like that kind of thing where they do 2D art and then they make it kind of like move. So like I think the big question, I think Tom Wilson asked the question in the chat that is it real? Is it a joke? And I think this is what everyone's asking themselves today.
Symbio Joe has a special message. We are no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I.
Is that a reference to a song? Thank you, Symbio
Yeah.
Joe, with the super chat. Wait, go.
There's
Flynn?
some super chat.
Woo! Thanks, buddy.
Hey!
And the puppeteering one has another super chat.
Which is also was his Mama Negan. So thank you, Mama Negan, for your super chat. And Symbio Joe, thank you for sending that through. That was very generous.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna. It's if anyone knows what Symbio Joe has done, I'll give it a proper.
My yard is finally in reach.
Marco talks about buying a yacht. Drink.
Cheers! I shall have one.
Oh, didn't Brett Wilson do a drinking game for us?
Yes.
Yes, he did. Oh, it's pinned in the. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so what do we think? So Sherman, I'm assuming that you had a chance to watch the video and that's why you're referring to it.
Yeah, I saw it earlier today. It came through on my feed.
What do you think?
What it looks like to me is if it is really just a joke, that it must be something that they were intending to use for something else and then changed direction and still had this footage because it
Mhm.
is, like you said, very nicely painted. It's rendered very well. It's got a little bit of a 3D effect to it. I don't know
Yeah.
how they're doing that, but the the gunships, it could be Battlefleet Gothic, it could be Space Hulk. There's a lot of things that relate to the imagery until they bring up the squats at the end. Someone posted that they thought they might be putting out a new version of Space Hulk with squats
Oh.
and Tyranids instead of Space Marines and Tyranids. And if they did that, I would jump all over it because
That's
that would be cool.
amazing. So I had a moment where like you were looking at like the destroyed ship in the video, and I had a moment where it felt like Space Hulk, but I never for a second thought that there could be a Space Hulk release with squats and gene sealers. Because didn't
Maybe Ratlings and Gene Stealers?
I don't know, the thing in there looked a lot like a squat and not much like a ratling. So
It's even talks like
what's that?
He talks like a dwarf, and he also has the image at the end, the logo at the end is what they'd use.
Yeah, like a
for
dwarfy looking
squats.
logo.
I'm just hoping it's a double bluff.
What do
'Cause
you
they
mean by
know-
double bluff?
So, previously it's so obvious it's a April Fool's joke, like the ones where they did the Marines made of chocolate, the
Yeah,
AI stuff,
servo
all the other
skull
ones.
thing, assistant or whatever.
Yeah, Primaris Lieutenant the movie, all of them were just so clearly obvious
Yeah,
that they were things, but we knew they were jokes for it.
yeah,
Whereas this one, you've got the community. If you were trying to make it as an April Fool's joke, the community wouldn't really appreciate it because it's something everyone wants for so long. And what would be the best way to troll the community is to announce them or tease them on April the 1st.
yeah,
So people are so used to you guys doing these like terrible April Fool's jokes that are so obvious,
yeah,
and you actually are announcing them properly, but everyone just doesn't believe you because it's April 1st, April Fools. It would be the perfect way to double bluff people of, we've done the April Fool's joke, but it's actually true. Because you'd be like, it's April 1st, they're not going to do it. It's not
yeah,
happening. No matter how much effort they put into it,
yeah,
it's not going to happen. But then, bang, here it is. It's actually happening. We're just trying to get you guys to think it wasn't. That's why I think it's a double bluff, because it'll be so expertly done. The amount of effort they put in for it, just for the trailer, is immense. The coordination, I think, with some of the other people working there, because if you've seen Savage Orc guy or Sakama. I can't remember what she calls herself at the moment.
Savage
Earlier
Orc
in the
guy,
week,
yeah.
she posted some of her squats that she was painting.
Oh, that was a great story. You got to go back. If you don't follow Savage Orc guy, poor confusingly named because it's God, what's her name?
Oh,
She works for the Warhammer community team. She does all their painting stuff on Warhammer TV.
Orc guy. Louise.
Louise Smudgeon. There we go. Louise Smudgeon, Savage Orc guy. Yeah,
Second.
she posted this amazing reel where she talked about like the she showed all her squats that she's painted, and she mentioned they're like they all have like weird conditions or something. It was hilarious. You go look it up. Yeah, so she was doing squats. There's been all these rumors about squats. Like people keep saying that squats are coming back, and like they seem more realistic than your average bullshit rumor. So what do people in the chat think? Do people in the chat think that this is real? Do people in the chat think that this is a joke? Also, question: Is Symbio Joe's thing a lyric from something? We are no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I.
Never gonna give
That's
you
what
up.
I was thinking of.
Oh, that's what Peter Anderson meant by "We've been rickrolled." God damn
I
it, you
got it
people!
straight away. I was just hoping you guys would get it.
Oh, I didn't get it.
Biggest delay. Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
panicked.
I got rickrolled too.
Mhm.
I had no idea either.
Was that playing in your head, thinking, "Why do I recognize this?"
Basically.
Like the other ones, I think it could be because they could just do it as the ending bit with a squat. They could take away and use this as a trailer for something else. Like it would be brilliant for, as I said, Space Hulk or very out the side, Battlefleet Gothic, or what I wanted to think it could be is a new Warhammer quest for 40k, like Blackstone Fortress, because you can have it tied in with Space Hulk and go with one ship connected to it is an infested gene stealer port. Another one's an orc ship. Another one's a Tau ship.
Yeah,
And you can have the expansions being one or two survivors from that race on the ship,
I
and you
like
can get
this.
new specific models for that. In the same vein as what they did with Blackstone Fortress, you could even have it where they have one-off models like a HUD
Yeah,
or other minor Xenos races that they don't really feature. You could really go into that with doing a Space Hulk as a Blackstone Fortress-esque system.
that is really cool. I never. This is blowing my mind because what I had come to on like some people said Kill Team, thinking Space Hulk. I was thinking recently I posted the picture of the and a lot of people kind of had forgotten about this. The oh, Nora, you know about this because you actually read the book. Do you remember reading about the Gellerpox infected?
Yes.
Okay, I think I have this video unlisted on my channel, and I need to make it available for all of you to listen to. It's Nora reviewing the Gellerpox infected
Oh God.
manual from Rogue Trader, Kill Team Rogue Trader, and it's so great
Nice.
because she reads it and she's like, okay, this is kind of over the top, but this is really cool. But look at these models. These models are nowhere near as cool as what's described in this book. Anyway, unrelated, but
Interesting.
so just as for Kill Team, Games Workshop made that weird Rogue Trader box, which had like all those cool models in it, and it was Kill Team, but it was for like a specific setting. It felt like
Yeah,
more unique than the kind of stuff they did with like whatever Tomb Worlds, Necrons with Space Marines. That would be really cool if they're like Kill Team, Space Hulk setting, like because right now we're getting these different Kill Team boxes and it's like Nakmund Gauntlet or whatever, and it doesn't really matter. It's just like this is a new name for Kill Team, but it would be really cool if we got like Kill Team Space Hulk. I like that.
Warhammer Quest Space Hulk.
Uh until they bring
Uh,
back like all those cool Warhammer Quest models like the Zote that no one can get anymore. I don't
but it
want
would be
any
a good
more
way to.
Warhammer Quest.
But it would be a good way to put a Zote back in or an Amble back in.
Well, they gotta put those back in because damn it. Oh wait, that's a question for Sherman. Sherman, I feel like you're of the vintage where like you probably had Zotes and Ambles, or like you had some experience with them. How did you feel when they brought them back for Warhammer Quest?
Oh, I immediately grabbed both those sets.
Good, you're a smart man because now no one can get them.
I didn't have the original Amble, the
Yeah.
metal one. I did kit bash a couple of them for I can't remember, Apocrypha 40K web magazine years ago, and it comes through the slide every now and then. There's
Oh,
two Ambles,
that's
a male and a
yeah.
female.
They're made from the
Uh,
Hierophants or the Hierodules, right?
well, I think it's a. I don't even remember what the original. It's a Skilla. That's what it was. It was a Chaos Spawn. Is the one with for the big
Yes, I
one.
remember.
And then the claws come off of a Umber Hulk figure from D&D, I think, for
Here we
the
go.
jaws on the male one.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I never had any of the Zote figures.
Uh-huh.
Had a friend that did have them, but I never had any of the original metal ones.
Yeah. I have
Hmm.
one somewhere, but I've never done anything with it. The original metal. Wait, you don't have any?
The museum has them.
I was gonna say you're a jammy bastard. You must have them.
Yes, the museum has them, and the Dominator ones as well.
Nice.
Right.
Oh wait, the
Oh.
fantasy?
I think my thing for change to I mentioned the museum is a drink.
There you go. Yes. Lynn Hammer in
We
his
should.
museum. So what do people in the chat say? Nora, has anyone commented in the chat about whether they think this squat thing is real or it's a hoax?
It's a bit of chat back and forth. Maybe Flynn, you could help me out, just so that
Yes.
I make. There's a
Sure.
lot of jargon and terminology
Peter
that
Hampton.
I'm working through right now.
Sure, yeah.
So Peter Hampton says he thinks it's a double bluff as well.
Meaning that they think you think it's a joke, but they're actually releasing squats?
Yeah, they're doing it as a joke. They're using April 1st to make people think it's not going to be actually real, and then oh wait, it's
Haha!
actually real.
I
Nobody
agree.
expects the squat Inquisition.
Totally.
Well played. I would agree with that. I am on the same boat of it's not a joke, it's real. They're just trying to screw you over, like confuse us by making it on April 1st, and I think it's a good joke.
So now you have to say, haha!
Ha
Perfect.
Our chief
Mummy.
weapons are surprise and squatification.
Yeah. Mum and Egan's gone. Imagine if they squatted Battlefleet Gothic for an April Fool's joke.
Wait, no,
And
that's not the right word of squatted. Squatted means take away Battlefleet Gothic. We don't even have it.
well, Battlefleet Gothic has gone away for quite some time.
But I thought squatted, the verb squatted means to make something go away forever. So if they squatted
Yeah.
Battlefleet Gothic, that would mean we'd have to have Battlefleet Gothic for it to be squatted, right?
Well, we did.
No, now. Like it would have to be presently available, and then they're getting rid of it, and then it is squatted.
Yeah.
Like if they said you can never use a Carnifex again, that would be squatting the Carnifex because we have a Carnifex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. The other one is and he's holding a classic round plasma pistol from
I
back
love
in the
that.
day.
That looks good.
Yeah.
That was a good part of the video.
The only other bit is I really hope that this isn't a reset the clock sort of meme.
Explain that to us.
So it used to be whenever someone mentions squats, there was a clock in Games Workshop headquarters that they would reset to back to 12, so it had to make like a full rotation before
Yeah.
like a full day
The
or
idea
something.
being that like don't mention squats. Stop asking them about squats. Every time you ask them about squats, they put squats to the bottom of the list again.
But when they did the
Plastic Sisters
Forge
of
World,
Battle.
yeah, that was actually they did the Forge World squat model. When they announced it, they did a whole thing of all right, time to go and do it, where they go back to reset the clock for the
Oh,
squats,
I forgot about that.
and they had next to them as well Plastic Thunderhawk and Plastic Sisters of Battle, and when they did it, they broke the squat clock. So that was a brilliant one for that, but what Mum and Negan meant was potentially squatting the release of Black Battlefield Gothic to make the April Fool's joke trailer.
I still don't feel like we're using that properly,
Yeah,
but okay.
I think you mean they used. I think what it more is if they were to use the reveal for Battlefleet Gothic to make a squat joke instead, and then go, "Oh, it's Battlefleet Gothic,
Okay,
not
gotcha.
squats."
Gotcha.
That's what I think it means.
Okay.
Well, she means, sorry.
Yep. Okay. Any other votes about squat stuff? Or conversations about squat stuff? I don't really care. Like, people are like, oh my god, squats. I never had any experience with squats. All my experience with squats was people making jokes about squats. I think they're just another human faction, but short. If they have cool spacesuits, that could be useful for Gene Stealer Cult.
No, but wait, what's your opinion on beer-bellied, tiny biker dudes
I don't
stinking
like
another?
I don't like dwarves in fantasy. Why would I like dwarves in 40K? I don't care. You know what? We talked about this. Did we talk about this? We should have talked about this. That
Sure we have.
that
Against
so
dwarves.
they're just
Yeah, it's a
boring.
bit of stereotypical for dwarves and everything. You've taken
just
a proper
boring.
fantasy race, and you've just basically put them into a sci-fi setting, and you've not really changed anything about the culture of the dwarves to be in
That's
a sci-fi setting. It's just
the,
Space
you've
dwarves.
taken the
that's what
stereotypes.
That's old school
that's
40K.
what I was trying to say. No, not quite. I think with the Elder, they really got something different because with the Elder they got such a rich background and different ideas and different concepts, and it makes total sense to just transform space elves into something else.
Yeah.
Especially with Dark Elder and Harlequins and
Yeah.
all the stuff. There's really depth and good ideas behind it. With the orcs, maybe the same, but
You
in a
hate them. We've
very
been over it.
very silly, jokey kind of way. But I think they realized, rightfully so, that with squads they didn't have a good idea. So the idea to just say, no, it doesn't make sense, like how we used to do it, was sound back then.
Well, can
Okay.
I ask, what is the backstory to the squats?
It's a good question.
How
I don't
did
actually
they
know.
come to be dwarves with lasers and, I don't know, other
I
space gear?
Well,
I
they're
think I
they're
know this one.
humans, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're
Yes.
supposed to be mutated humans, technically. They're not technically
Okay.
aliens.
They're
So
just Flynn.
it's
Just go ahead.
basically so basically what it is when they did the great expansion of all human races, when the human race went across the galaxy, they ended up on a high gravity planet. So over the years, what happens is the bodies develop to adjust and evolve to suit the atmosphere and the gravity. So in this case, they got shorter. And then what happens is humanity loses contact with all the worlds, and everything just goes into a dark age of everything. No one has any connection. Everyone loses bits. They set up their own sort of systems together to help support each other. Then you have the Emperor with the Great Crusade comes back and they meet the squats with them, and they end up fighting them for a bit, and then they make an alliance with them. And so the squats in that, however long the time period is, they've developed into or they call them as abhumans, so they're still from human genetics. They're just
Mutated humans?
Not really mutated. It's just they've adapted in a different world towards their planet. Like Ogrins and Rattlings are both two different examples of humans adapting to a high grav planet, where the Ogrins got bigger and more denser, and the Rattlings got shorter and stubbier, a bit more like the squats did. And
so wait, Nora, you know Expanse?
Yeah.
You know the Belters?
Yes.
How they're all like
as you-
tall and skinny?
The belters.
The Belters are supposed to be tall and skinny, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're supposed to be tall and skinny because they exist in low gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So the squats are like the opposite of the Belters. because like I guess they don't do this in the show as much, but on in the books of the Expanse, Belters make fun of people who grew up on Earth and Mars for being squat and like big boned and like big like heavy set, because Belters are all really tall and lithe and stuff, because they have higher gravity on Mars and Earth that makes them develop differently.
Okay, I see.
Sorry,
I just
Expanse
think it's-
reference. Drink.
yeah. Sure, I'm just looking at I just searched Warhammer squats on Google, and I'm
Because
just
you're
looking at pictures
thorough.
of them.
Good work.
And I don't know why they all have beards. Like, why do they have to look like dwarves?
Why they
They
gotta be
could look totally
dwarves?
different. Like, even just like based on the history you shared with me around the background, I would imagine like a different looking creature that's just like a little smaller
Okay,
and
so
less like Viking dwarf like.
wasn't the there was another alien race, the Demiurge. Wasn't that an attempt to make squats more interesting and alien? Or am I conflating two things that are not related at all?
So yeah.
I don't know.
I thought the Demiurge was... Do you know anything about this, Sherman? The, like, Demiurge... Is there a Demiurge
No,
squat link, or...
I'm not familiar with that term now.
Like,
It
they
may
just
be
all look like
something that I
space
just mixed
Gimlis.
over.
They are space Gimlis. This is why I find squats boring. I'm like, I don't care about dwarfs in fantasy. Why would I care about dwarves in 40k?
Right.
I got it. So the Demiurge are an intelligent alien race of short, stocky humanoid traders and are asteroid miners allied with the Tau Empire.
Squats.
Basically, another version of squats, but without beards.
They're cool squats. Alien squats.
I think I prefer these ones then.
What, the Gimlis?
The Demiurge sound more interesting.
Yeah, you should look it up. It's Demiurg, I think.
Yeah. Pedro typed it in the chat. Thanks.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Navarro's here. Hey, buddy.
So honestly, have you got garden gnomes in Canada?
Yeah, we have garden gnomes in Canada.
Yeah.
Squats.
Space garden gnomes. So, after all of our hypothesizing about how the squats could come out, what do you think, Sherman? Like, you liking the Space Hulk solution? You liking the kill team idea? You want them to be like a whole 40k army? What do you think?
I would really like the Space Hulk idea. I just think that would be a little different because everybody has Marines. Everybody that collects anything, if you buy a box, you get Marines. You always have
Yeah.
Marines. Give me some boxes that don't have Marines. Of course, then they won't
Agreed.
sell as well. And you know,
Well,
but that's something that I don't have. If I'm going to buy the box, I want to get something I don't have.
yeah. That's a good idea. Okay, so I hate Marines, except for like last week I may have confessed to secretly loving Marines with that Mark 6 Marine. But
Yeah, when you were acting strangely.
yeah, Jones was acting strangely. Drink. You missed that, Nora. I admitted to loving Marines on stream last time. You might want to divorce me. But
Oh.
but the one thing with Space Hulk is Space Hulk isn't Marines, it's Terminators, and I have always loved Terminators. Give me that weird bare face helmet thing every day. So like we've not had... Okay, so like they did Primaris, they redid all the Space Marines. They gave us those... What are those big fat Primaris Space Marines called? With the chunky boots?
Aggressors.
Thank you. Aggressors. They gave us Aggressors. They're kind of like Terminators, but like,
No,
do we need
stop. They look
Primaris
like shit.
Terminators? Huh?
They look like shit. The aggressors with the big boxing gloves on both sides.
Oh, that's a good description.
Oh, they look like shit.
Yeah, so I want something
boxing
better.
gloves.
I want a better Terminator. I want a Primaris
Yeah.
Terminator, and that could happen in a Space Hulk. But if I had to choose between squats and Terminators, I would choose squats. In a Space Hulk box, that would be fun.
Why not
What?
squat Terminators?
Hot. Make it happen.
They used to be some with the extra armor,
Oh,
the XR.
yeah. Okay.
and they look kind okay, but not good enough for me.
Just missed out the most memorable squat fluff was that the Nids had them for dinner, so that's why they're extinct now.
Exactly.
It's all
We
our
just-
fault.
We just ate them and we still have some bellyache.
Still digesting the bits.
Yes. It's gonna take some time.
Like my favorite bit of Tyranid fluff is the planet they ate before going to a crag.
Yeah.
It's called Prandium.
Brandium.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
the garden
that's-
world.
Tell me more.
yeah. Its name is Latin. Now have a guess what Prandium translates into English as.
Appetizer?
Sort of.
Salad?
No.
What?
Soup?
Lunch.
Ah, funny.
Lunch?
That's
Oh
good.
my god.
So they had lunch before
Good
they were
one.
trying to have dinner.
Oh my
Good
god.
one. That's
This is
how
what
we
happens
are.
when
That's
you,
how we
you teach
roll. It's all good.
nerds Latin.
You make jokes.
Okay, are we done talking about squats? Can I continue asking Sherman other questions? Are there any
Yes.
other squat thoughts that anyone has
I
that they
think
want to
so.
share?
I think now we're just talking about why it's so hard to digest a squat.
The big boned.
Well, we have hairballs and
Because the beards. Nice.
exo armor. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Where the hell were we? Oh, okay. We were talking about unforgivable Xenos sins, and Sherman sent us down a squat hole. So, Sherman, what is the best non-Xenos kit for making aliens out of? There is a right answer for this one.
I'm going to have to think about it.
All right.
Non-Xenos.
Yeah. So, like a human kit, could be a chaos kit. Could be anything. Could be Necromunda. Could be fantasy.
Well, I love the giant spider from the goblins
Ooh.
and the plague things from the plague flies from
Yes.
Nurgle.
I have never bought those plague flies, and I've always meant to because everyone does such cool things with those plague flies.
Shrikes.
Yeah,
That's
if you
why I
like
got
bug wings. Nice. That's a good choice. Okay, so since Space Marines are boring and they're garbage, we're gonna get rid of all of them, but we can save one Space Marine chapter. What is the one Space Marine chapter that can live? Maybe the most interesting
Salamanders.
Space Marine chapter. Oh, yeah? Tell me more. Salamanders?
That's the one that I started with. I before there was a salamander codex or anything, I made all my Marines were salamanders.
Why did you choose salamanders?
Because I liked using the flamers back in the day,
Yeah.
and so I just made fire centric, made their whole lore. It was on my website that I had a whole codex even made up for them with
Nice.
different names for the different groups and different types of vehicles and all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
And plus, they're supposed to be the good guys. They're one of
I've
the
heard
only
this.
good guys in all of 40K.
I didn't know this until fairly recently, that salamanders are supposed to be like the only good Space Marines, that all the other Space Marines are a bit nuts.
They
Question on the
value the
salamanders.
civilians. They try to save the civilians and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
back in really old fluff about them, that's some of the first things I read, and I said, well, yeah, I'll make those. Those will be my good guys, and then
Cool.
my Tyranids will be my monsters that they have to fight.
Nice. What are you gonna say, Flynn?
Which color scheme for the salamanders? The original wacky sort of tiger stripe pattern, or the green?
I've got them green, and back in the day, they didn't use squad markings and stuff because they could see in UV. So everything was hidden. Normal people couldn't see their squad markings. So that saved me from having to paint things that I couldn't paint.
That sounds like someone in the studio being like, I don't want to paint any more squad markings. Oh, these guys, they're all UV. No, but what you got to do is you got to paint them in UV paint, so that if you get out of UV light, you can be like, hey, look, they're all here. Okay, next question. What is your Xenos project that got away? What is like a Xenos project that you always wanted to do but never got the chance to? Hello? What?
I've been playing with and making a board of Tyranid infested jungle terrain
Yes.
for a
Do
long
it.
time, and I
Yes.
just can't make it look the way I want to.
No?
I've tried different things. It just it looks great in my head, but I can't make it. And I keep trying. Eventually, I'll come up with something.
Okay. What like is there something that is like impeding you that you want it to look more this way, but it's not coming out?
Yeah, it's more like vines and things like that
Yeah.
because you want it to look overgrown. You want it
Yeah.
to look as invasive species, like kudzu coming in and covering up the original stuff, and then behind it you can see where there's just the skeletal remains of the tree trunks and stuff, and all the Tyranid things.
Yeah.
But making something like that is, I can't. I can visualize it, but I can't make it. Um,
Yeah.
that's really something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I think it started with your project where you were making a table for one of the on Warp Shadow.
Oh yeah, for Games Day, the
Yeah,
Cast
that's
Event
that.
Prime table.
Yeah, yeah.
I've, just a quick suggestion. Did you ever
Yeah.
see the Lost Patrol board game that they came out with?
I've saw it. I think was that sold in like U.S. in Target and stuff like that. It was just had like 5 Marines in it, maybe,
Five
and then
Scouts and some
tiles.
Scouts,
yeah,
yeah.
and some G's. Because I was thinking like just having that as a basis to work from, just the tiles for the inspiration, might help along with it a little bit.
The other thing I was thinking when you talked about like vines and like infested and like there's like the remains of trees, but they've been like hollowed out or whatever. I was thinking of a 3D pen. Have you seen these? It's not 3D printing. It's like a pen that uses plastic filament, and picture it like a glue gun, like a hot glue gun, but it's very fine, and you can literally like you touch the pen to something and then you raise it up, and as long as you hold it still, the filament that you raise up from that point solidifies, and you can put another dot there and raise it up and solidify, and you can make like these kind of web like structures that can stand.
Interesting.
Let me
I
see if
have
I can
seen
find
those.
it.
I've seen them where people are making things with them, but I've never actually had one in my hands.
They're not terribly expensive, I don't think. They're tricky, but let me see if I can find an example, because I know that Loading Dock did a dragon with one, but my computer is going into my screen just went
While you
blank.
try to
You all still there? Okay, good.
yeah, chat's just devolving into filthy Xenos.
Why?
Mama Negan says, she says, "Who's going to tell him about what Vulcan did to the Eldar children?" And Symbio Joe just goes, "Those are filthy Xenos."
He's
It's
right.
it's to the child, filthy Xenos,
Not the younglings.
not the filthy Xenos.
Oh, and Navarro, I don't know if you caught it, but we're talking to Sherman Bishop, Hive Fleet Harbinger. I feel like you might remember Sherman from Warp Shadow days, but you may have already caught on. Let's see what I can find. 3D printing pen. Damn.
I've seen someone try and make some of them are like, it does depend on the thickness of the filament and how quickly you move with it, but that could work for the vines and everything.
Yeah, you can do it on top of something, or you can do it like self-standing. But the best way to make it work is to like make a bunch of different nodes and think of it like a spider web, and then it supports itself. Let's see what I can find. Next question. I don't know if you have this. This is a weird question. What is the greatest misperception of Xenos by people who don't collect or play Xenos? Like, what do you think people who are
wow.
like, I'm just going to do Space Marines, think about Xenos armies?
I get told a lot. Oh, well, Tyranids are easy to paint. That's not true, in my opinion.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay. And where the hell is this thing you made? Okay, next question. And this is the last question. What is the unrealized background Xenos race that most needs models? Let's not go with the Tau auxiliary because we've already been there. What is another like thing from like the fluff or whatever, a Xenos race that most needs to have models?
Oh, well, I would probably go with the Herd. HRUD, if you remember them.
Yeah.
They were like a scavenger. Some people have decided that they were space skaven, but
Yeah.
most of the descriptions are that they're more similar to the Jawas from Star Wars, where their faces are all squiggly and they hide underneath of their cowls. I
Oh,
always
Nora
thought
knows
that
the Jawas.
Houdini!
Suka, suka.
They're the best.
Yeah, Nora's.
I have an
Also,
entire.
Symbio Joe is saying bye. Love you all, peeps. Thanks for spending time with us, Mr. Bishop.
Oh, you're welcome. This is great. Thanks.
Bye, Symbio. Thank you for giving us a super chat from Marco's Yacht Fund, and thank you for joining us.
Yay.
We're actually going to have
Would
to...
that-
Oh, Storyboard Guy's here. Storyboard Guy. We're talking with Sherman Bishop, otherwise known as Hive Fleet Harbinger. Harbinger? I always say that wrong. From
Either way works.
way back in 3rd edition, 2nd edition Tyranids. Okay, so I've got a picture up on YouTube now. This is a dragon wing that Miniature Spencer made with a 3D printing pen. So it's like he's gone over it a bunch of times, but my brother has made like, and here's a dragon that he did only with 3D printing pen. Oh, how do I make this bigger? So this is like the kind of stuff that's possible. This looks like a very fine 3D printing pen. I feel like I've seen ones that are a little thicker, the filament. Let's see. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Anyway, so this might work for like infested Tyranid terrain or something.
Definitely could, yes.
Anyway, yeah. Oh, so that concludes the so the Hrud. The people have said they're space skaven. How do you picture them? You said like Jawas, so just like scavengers. Have you seen anything else like in the fluff about them that's really like sparked your interest?
Well, it was in the xenobiologist book.
Yeah.
They had a section on the Herd, or Herod, however you say it.
Mhm.
And they have interesting looking weapons. I just thought it would be something that's a little less anthropomorphic.
Yep.
They look a little more alien.
Yeah.
Everything they put out tends to have humanoid symmetry.
Yeah.
And making something that's different, something that's just not something that we have in all the other armies, seemed like that would be cool.
Awesome. I can get behind that. Cool. Well, thank you for taking our Xenos questionnaire. It was good to get your perspectives on all that. And thank you for all that you've done for the Tyranid community over the years. Like, you were the one who started most of us on like converting and kit bashing Tyranids from your work on your website, from the stuff that was featured in White Dwarf. Yeah, so like people like me and Marco wouldn't be here. Flen doing, and I know. Oh, also Hydra isn't here this week, and he's gonna kill me that we interviewed you on a week when he couldn't be here, because he likewise probably took a lot of inspiration from your work.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Great.
Trailblazer.
What's that?
I said, here for being a trailblazer.
Yeah.
And I know that we are wrapping up soon, but before we do so, thank you to everybody who tuned into this week's Creature Conference. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this awesome episode and all other episodes of Creature Conference.
Look at that.
And
Consummate professional.
No, wait, and pay for my yacht.
And pay for Marco's yacht. Send us super
Hashtag
chats.
Marco's yacht.
So Marco can
Thank
get his
you.
yacht.
Now it's perfect.
Oh my god. Yeah, I should have freaked out a bit more when that first super chat came through, but I was too distracted. So this is good. I didn't know how much work I was going to get done, but I've managed to get some spiky back parts on this big old lictor I'm working on. Because I used the bits from the Hive Tyrant. There was these gaps where the Hive Tyrant's spore chimneys are supposed to go. And I didn't want to just like slap spore chimneys on a lictor. I don't know what function these weird spikes coming out of the lictor's back serve. Maybe so that no one sneaks up on him, but I don't know. I think they look kind of cool. Marco, how'd you do? What have you been working on?
Guys, girls, I'm so tired. I gotta go.
All right, well, let's call it then.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much
and
for coming,
girls.
Sherman. Yeah, this was great. And thanks for putting up with my random bullshit. Like, let's sneak you in and not tell anyone who it is.
Awesome. Loved it. Great surprise.
Marco, who did you think
great
it was?
solution.
Marco, you thought it was someone else.
Well,
Who did you think it was?
The honest thing is, I was for some weird reason expecting Nikki Riley.
Roulette?
Yep, from the UK.
Yep.
But I pretty soon caught your hints that it was going to be Sherman.
When did you catch the hint?
Well, I don't know how you started.
The question?
Super Young Fun.
At the beginning, but the final straw was, of course, the color scheme of his Hive Fleet.
Yeah.
That's what got me.
I
And
thought
when
that
he
was
said,
gonna get it.
when he said he was,
Super
he
space
start-
yacht.
Hold on. Let Marco finish. Before we talk about his yacht. Marco, go ahead.
and when Sherman said he started with the first Khan effects, it was pretty clear to me who it would probably be, because it needed to be someone well known in the community, and there weren't too many options then.
Was
awesome.
Was it a dead giveaway that he didn't have a British accent?
Well, for sure, it made the difference.
He asked
Awesome.
me to do a fake British accent, but I thought it would sound too ridiculous.
See, I was trying everything to disguise it.
It's hard to do. Awesome.
And Metal Beardy Beard Eric showed up, and Marco, he made a $10 contribution to your space yacht, super space yacht fund.
Yes, finally, I can smell the high seas.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, Flynn, when did you know it was Sherman? Was it the color scheme?
The color scheme,
Yeah.
because you said brown and purple color scheme, I was like SW Bishop straight away. My brain straight went there.
Nice. Oh, Blitz is here. Blitz, welcome. We've been talking to a Tyranid legend, Sherman Bishop. So if you're just joining now, you can catch the recording of the stream because we're about to sign off. But good to see you here. Anyone else in the chat have any final thoughts? Nora, do you have any final thoughts?
Thank you for having me today to crash the stream and help out with the comments.
But wait, Nora, we didn't get started on any personal questions about Nick's private life.
All right, thank you so much for joining us for the Creature Conference. That's all we have time for today. We're going to be signing off now.
Nice timing.
Damn it.
And
Next time.
yeah,
Next time.
next time. Looking forward to